Just like DX would say, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are about to get into the Uncanny X-Men number 304. If you are new to the channel, my name is Dorian. This is SEM Comics. We are covering the complete Fatal Attraction series. If you need to catch up, there will be a link to the playlist in the description. Without further ado, let's get into it. So it starts off with Mr. Fabian Cortez getting attacked by his own acolyte. So if you don't know why this is happening, it's not a long story, but it is a story. So Fabian Cortez was born to a rich, wealthy family, and he joined a group called the Upstarts, which was a group of mutants who used to go out and kill other mutants for points. It was led by Game Master. So Fabian got the bright idea to go ahead and go after the biggest, baddest mutant there is to win the game, and that will be Magneto. So he got together a group of mutants who believed in Magneto's teachings, and he named them the Acolytes, and then he went to Magneto. So using his charm, he quickly gained the trust of Magneto, and then on Asteroid M, he set out to do what he came there to do, to win the game, and he seemingly killed Magneto by betraying him. So now he's like Beyonce, he's feeling himself. So then he goes out and he kidnaps Myra McTaggart, but then the X-Men go pretty much beat him up, freeze Myra, and arrest him and Acolytes. While imprisoned by the X-Men, he finds out that Magneto did not die. So he figures out a way to escape, and then he gets the bright idea to try to recruit Quicksilver, who is Magneto's son at the time, to try to sway the Acolytes to his side. I say he was rich, not smart. But you can watch the video on that one because we covered it in our playlist. That was X Factor number 92. And now Magneto has a new right-hand man, which is Exorcist, and he's there to pick up the Acolytes and to deal with Fabian. And now you know why Fabian's screaming like a little bitch. So then on the next page, you see Fabian uses mutant power to try to get the Acolytes off of him. He's trying to explain himself. But on the next page, Exorcist is pretty much breaking down the exact betrayal of Fabian Cortez on Magneto, and pretty much they're having none of it. So then on the next page, Fabian's backed into a corner and he decides to attack Exorcist, which was a bad idea. Exorcist pretty much uses mutant power and fries Fabian Cortez to a crisp, but does not kill him because Magneto said not to. So on the next page, we see Charles and Xavier pretty much getting ready for the funeral of Ileana Rasputin. Now, that is the little sister of Colossus. Her code name is Magic. She was the first victim of the legacy virus. For those of you who don't know what the legacy virus is, don't worry, I'll be making a video breaking it all down. If I get into all the nuances of the legacy virus, this is going to be a video that is way too long. Let's just say it was a virus made by Strife, who was a clone of Cable, and it was a virus only to kill mutants, but it mutated, ironically, and it started killing normal humans too. So then we see Lilandra, the queen of the Shi'ar Empire and the lover of Charles Xavier, use Shi'ar technology to send an astral presence of herself to talk to Charles to try to comfort him because he's going through it, as he blames himself for what happened to Ileana. So then on the next few pages, we see the leaders of the world pretty much get together to enact the Magneto protocols. I know you're sitting there probably asking yourself, what the hell are the Magneto protocols? Trust me, you're about to see. So then it cuts to Magneto, who's on Avalon, and he's looking down on Earth. Now, if you're wondering what Avalon is, go ahead and click the link on the playlist. You'll be able to catch up. On the next few pages, he's pretty much thinking to himself the things that he went through, which pretty much shaped him and molded him into becoming Magneto. Because his name is Eric Lyncher, he is a Jewish survivor of the Holocaust. He married another Holocaust survivor, her name was Magna, and they started a family, and they had a daughter named Anya. To try to make a long story short, where he was living was just as corrupt as the German you-know-what that he just left. He comes home to see his house is on fire. He was able to rescue his wife, but when he went in and tried to save his daughter, his employer along with the police rushed him and beat him down and prevented him from rescuing her, and she died. So at that exact moment, his powers manifest and he kills everybody there except for his wife, but he scared her so much that she's now terrified of him and she left him. Now we see soldiers have been called in to try to deal with him, but this is Magneto, he deals with them. And that is the tragic backstory of Magneto. So then it cuts to Kitty Pryde and Storm. They're in the mansion, and Kitty has, I guess, been away for a little bit, and she's kind of down for the things that happened to Ileana, and she pretty much is saying she just wants to be normal. Storm, being a strong person that she is explaining to her that it doesn't matter all the things that happen. You can't bring yourself down. You just pretty much got to keep moving forward and be proud that you're a mutant. So while Storm is using her mutant powers to fly around Kitty in the sky like she used to, they look down to see Colossus is burning all of his paintings. So Kitty tries to talk some sense into Colossus, but he just lost his little sister. He doesn't know really what to do, and he pretty much just walks away. So then it cuts to Bishop and Banshee, who is pretty much trying to get the church ready for the funeral, and they're having a conversation about how everything is going bad. Bishop is from the future, just like Cable is. He comes from a dystopian future. He went back in time to try to prevent it, and he's explaining to Banshee that Banshee will eventually turn into this type of person. Banshee doesn't want to hear it. He's like, you know what? Don't even tell me about it. So then we get to the funeral. Storm is saying some nice words about Liana, and then we see that Professor Xavier is trying to talk to Colossus. The Colossus having none of it. He lost his sister. He blames Charles. He doesn't know what to do. He's lost, and he's just had enough. So right at that exact moment, Magneto shows up. Now the acolytes are there, but they're pretty much not needed. It's just Magneto and Exodus, and they are handling all of the X-Men. They're like the Legion of Doom or the Road Warriors back in the 80s and 90s. I know I'm old, and it's like Magneto is tapped into like his Super Saiyan powers. Not only is he got most of the X-Men frozen in place by controlling the iron flow in their bloodstream, but he also dismantles Charles Xavier's wheelchair, and simultaneously he's bringing down the space station Avalon, which if he brings it down with enough force, that's pretty much like a meteor hitting the planet, which would cause all this dirt and dust to go up to the atmosphere. It'll be stuck there for like a year, and it'll cause another ice age, and we know how the dinosaurs handle that, right? So then on the next page, you have Pietro Quicksilver. He starts talking shit to Magneto, talking about how his acolytes attacked a hospice hospital back in X Factor number 92, which we covered as part of the playlist, and how a certain mutant, Senyaka, actually tortured this nurse, and she wound up dying of her injury. So I guess those cables that he used are metal, because Magneto's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and he just wraps Senyaka in the cables and pretty much burns him and kills him right on the spot. So I guess he burned him pretty bad, because Jubilee looks like she's about to throw up just looking at him. And then, like I said before, he's doing all this, and he's simultaneously bringing down the space station. Like, he shows them they finally, space station finally makes it through the clouds. So now the X-Men can see the space station coming at them. So everything's going Magneto's way, except for just one little hiccup. Bishop, his mutant power is he can absorb energy, kinetic energy or otherwise, and then he can redirect that energy. So he's like Black Panther's suit, pretty much, in a nutshell. So he pretty much redirects that energy right at Magneto, and it was enough so that Magneto will release his hold on the X-Men. So now that Rogue is free, she tries to absorb Magneto's powers by kissing him, because that's what she does, and typically this will work, but Magneto's so charged up, she pretty much kissed him and it pretty much did nothing. He just swats her away. So then he takes the metal fence that's going around the church, and he just starts wrapping up the X-Men in it. Everybody except for Bishop. Bishop, again, absorbed all this energy, and he's trying to re-release it back on Magneto. But that's when we see Colossus pretty much betrays the X-Men, and he attacks Bishop and gets Bishop off of Magneto, and he tells Magneto that he wants to join his acolytes. So while all that's going on, Storm and Jean are trying to work together to hold up Avalon so it doesn't crash into the earth. I know there's a lot of action going on, but this was like your typical X-Men comic book back in the 90s. So now Magneto and Professor Xavier is about to have like this ultimate standoff, and this is the only part of the comic book where I kind of question it a little bit. So Professor Xavier pretty much tells Magneto that he's always underestimated him, and he like grabs him and his eyes turn red, and I don't know if he is like using his powers like against him, or if he's using telekinesis, which I'll explain why I have an issue with it. But he pretty much takes Magneto. He goes up, they both go up into the atmosphere, and he sends Magneto into asteroid M, and the whole asteroid plus Magneto goes back into space. So Professor Xavier's powers and abilities: he has a genius level intellect, which a lot of people in Marvel Comics have a genius level intellect. Like every 5th character is a genius. But his psychic abilities are extremely powerful. He has ESP, he has telepathy, and he has mental manipulation. Now it states that he has telekinesis via X headgear. Did you see any headgear on him? Because I ain't seen any headgear on him, but that looked like telekinesis to me, I'm just saying. So the book ends with Professor Xavier falling back down to Earth and Archangel going up to catch him and to bring him back down to the X-Men. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, you are a real one. You either like what we're doing on this channel, or you like watching natural disasters. Either way, why don't you just go ahead and do what comes natural.